Hello, everybody. Let me just pull this off the screen here. I still have Charlie Kirk on my mind, so I wanted to talk a little bit. See if I can get this down here. How's everybody doing out there? Let's see. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull this thing down and I can't. It's like everything's so much harder than it should be sometimes. Hey, girl. I'm here for I was gonna go live, but Outcast just made me almost have a heart attack. Oh boy, okay. Oh boy, holy shit. Oh no, no. All right, let's talk, man. Let's just talk this shit out. Okay, I I got a lot. This whole Charlie Kirk thing has been really fucking difficult. Okay, like a major relationship in my life has ended because of it. So okay. But I'm not gonna really get into that too deeply other than to say, there are some lines in the sand, you know what I'm saying? There are some fucking lines in the sand, um, where it's like you get to see like who's who, who's real, whatever, and just like, holy shit, man. I may talk about it at some point in the future. I'm not ready to talk about it now. But I just been in my feels on this whole Charlie Kirk thing, so I'm still talking about it, guys. I want to talk about abortion, right? And, of course, no, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Um, and I'll definitely give you my whole thing on it at some point, but I can't do it right now because it's still too fresh. But this is why I came on. I want to talk about abortion, guys, because here's the thing. So I'm a Gen Xer. I know some people that listen to me are my generation. Probably most people are. Some people are a little, younger, some people a little older, whatever. Everybody's welcome here. But I want to explain something about abortion and my generation. Okay. And, the thing about it is, when I was growing up, all right, hold on. I just got to be real. I can't do the not show my face thing. It's not like, all right, it's just easier for me. It's like, whatever. All right. So here's the deal. When I was growing up, okay, I never really thought about abortion or any of that stuff, but I knew it was legal for women. I was growing up in the, 70s, 80s. I go to college. Okay, I'm in college. And like if someone were to ask me when I was in college what my political stance was, it was more Democratic leaning, which is most kids in college. Um, but Democrat back then and what it is now is different. But regardless, I felt that women had the right to have an abortion, right? Now, here's the thing. And Charlie Kirk is just he's making me cry. He's making me cry because I'm listening to this man and he's just been speaking truth. I didn't even know what he was doing. Like I just kind of had some idea about him. I didn't really know a lot about him. But the more I'm watching him, the more I'm just like so upset at the loss of this person because what they were doing. And they weren't just doing it for one race. They were doing it for a lot of races. And I saw a lot of people, actually a lot of black people who knew him stick up, not Candace, because a lot of black people for some reason don't like, I shouldn't say this. There are a faction of black people who don't like Candace. They think she's a race traitor, I think. Um, but there are other black people who like Candace, right? So everybody's different, right? Um, bl- Black people are just like white people. They have different perspectives on shit, right? Um, so I don't make assumptions about anybody's perspective based on the color of their skin. And I don't like it when people make that assumption about me because I got a lot of unique and interesting perspectives that people might be surprised about. And I think it's unfair. And I think most people do, So Gosh, I think I just got way off topic here. What I want to talk about is abortion, okay? What I'm trying to say is this. When I was growing up, I thought when I said I supported abortion, that I was that meant, okay, like, first trimester, I'm thinking, like, after 9, 10 weeks, you better have your shit together, recognize, like, you're pregnant, you don't wanna be pregnant, whatever, figure it out, get it taken care of. 10 weeks max, I'm thinking. In my mind, like, I never looked into the law of it. I'm just thinking that's what they're talking about, right? But then, as we do, we look into things further. I never really looked into it much further until much later in life because that's when they started showing these horror movies on YouTube of what Planned Parenthood was doing. Okay. And that's when I was like, wait, what's going on? I'm like, I thought Planned Parenthood was cool. Like, I thought Planned Parenthood was like trying to help women and, help educate them. I'd gone to Planned Parenthood like for some health, like just like routine care when I was younger. I thought they were cool, like whatever. And then I start seeing all these exposés on Planned Parenthood and how like they're basically aborting babies at all kinds of like terms, and they're actually using the parts afterwards. They're like making money off of it. And I'm just like, I'm feeling violent right now. Like, I'm literally feeling violent right now. This is making me sick, right? So then I started looking more into abortion, and this was becoming a greater and greater thing because Trump got elected, and they scared an entire nation of women, entire generation of women into believing that we were going back into medieval dark ages times because Trump got elected and he put Kavanaugh into office. I don't know if you guys remember this. Women lost their fucking minds. They had like women running around with period stains and they were all dressed like that show. Oh my god. Which one is it? The Puritan show that Brian went to see about. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it was crazy. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is women lost their minds because the media pumped into it and all this other shit. And like, I don't understand if people realize it or not. But like Handmaid's Tale, thank you. I don't know if you remember that. But here's the thing, right? I don't know if people realize this or not. But here's the thing. I heard the West Virginia governor, and I saved it. I know for a fact. People want to tell bullshit on this, but I know what I heard, and you should look it up. He said that in West Virginia, they believe women have the right to have an abortion at any time up and until birth. And so he literally discussed, I think I said this yesterday, but I'm just so disgusted over this whole thing. I want to talk about it again. He said that even if the baby is born on the table and the mother feels like, oh, maybe emotionally she can't handle it, or it could even be depression, her and the doctor go in the back and they discuss what they should do if the baby should basically stay alive. It's disgusting, okay? And this is a governor, and he's saying this out loud on a radio station as if it's fucking not psychopathic. When I heard that, I lost my ever loving mind. I lost my mind, and then I started to look into abortion laws in different states. And yeah, in some states, it's pretty fucking hard to get an abortion right now. Okay. It's real hard. Like, it's like very limited, only for these reasons, that reasons, whatever. Okay. And then in other states, you can decide after the baby's born within a few minutes. This is no fucking joke. Okay. This is no joke. This is reality. Now, I believe in states' rights. So I think it's fine that if Idaho has different strict laws about abortion versus New York versus Tennessee versus whatever. Okay. I don't think it matters. Okay. Because people can travel. But here's the other thing that women need to stop fucking and think about this. Okay. It's disgusting, Al. You should look into some of the people who go, um, they've had a lot of people on the conservative right or Christian right or whatever who go into these abortion clinics and ask them for abortions for all kinds of fucked up reasons. You should see it. They busted Planned Parenthood. You can look at the Planned Parenthood videos. You'll see all what I'm talking about. It's disgusting. A lot of these doctors that perform abortions have been taken over by demons, in my opinion. There's no fucking way that you can go into work and kill fetuses all day long and go home and feel okay with your life and not be affected by it spiritually. Period. End of story. I don't give a fuck what anybody says about abortion being a right. Okay. When you're killing souls all day long, I don't think you're gonna I don't think it's good for your karma. So bottom line is though, back to my opinion and Charlie Kirk and all this other shit. Okay. This is what I think. This is what I think about abortion and women's rights. I think it should not be legislated. I don't think there should be laws about it one way or another. I don't believe they should be talking about our bodies. Exactly right. But not one way or another. I don't think that there should be a law that says women can have an abortion, women cannot have an abortion, they can have it under these circumstances. And I don't think those laws should exist. Okay. I think they should get the fuck out. Okay, you already know how I feel about laws anyway. Laws are created by culture to control people. Laws are not natural. We don't need law for shit that's natural, right? The truth is the truth, okay? The truth is self-evident, okay? We don't need a law to tell us. And here's the really fucked up thing, okay? It's still a sacred thing. I believe if a woman becomes pregnant, whatever discussion's going on, okay? That is between first of all herself and her spirituality and her husband and maybe her spiritual advisor or pastor or whatever and maybe a doctor or whatever. But that's a personal thing. We don't need to know. That is not our fucking business. And they have made it into a divisive thing in America that people get nuts about. And it's like we don't need to. People get nuts about it because it's a really sensitive topic. Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is don't even make laws about it. Don't make any fucking laws about it, right? We don't need a fucking law. Just leave it alone. And let me just say this too. Women know how to take care of each other. If you never read the book The Red Tent, you should. It's an incredible book. And it essentially lets women's healthcare has been hijacked by the medical industrial complex. Think about giving birth, guys. And if you read the book The Red Tent, you're going to get it. When women used to menstruate, they used to all go into the quote red tent. They took care of each other and their kids and whatever during that time. When one of them went into labor, guess who helped them out? Other women, their mothers, their grandmothers, their sisters, their aunts, whoever else is in the tribe. Men weren't there for that shit. They don't know the fucking first thing. And you know what they did? The first thing they would do is they would pull out these big blocks. And then if you were the pregnant one, you stood on those blocks and you squatted down. It's so much more natural when you're having a contraction. Who my women out there who have kids, right? It's so much more natural. Think about this. To have a contraction and be squatting, right, on all fours, than to be laying flat on your back. And if you understand the anatomy of what the pelvic floor for a woman looks like and the uterus and everything, right? If you haven't understand that, you really don't need to. I think intuitively you understand. It doesn't when you lay down, it's not like it curves up. So of course we gotta squat, right? But they've got us all fucked up, guys. They've got us all fucked up laying down in hospital beds giving birth, okay? Giving us Pitocin because it's not going good enough. It's not fast enough for them. So they have to give us Pitocin, damn near give us a heart attack or kill our babies. It's such a fucked up scenario. Okay, I could go on and on about that. I could go on and on about home births. Yeah, The Red Tent. It's a great book. And the thing about it is like my daughter, she sent me this thing the other day. I was like, this is so cool. They were dolphins. They were studying dolphins. Did anybody see this? Dolphins were present when women were giving birth, and it was like an incredible experience. They said dolphins are highly spiritual animals. Love dolphins. Very smart. Probably smarter than humans. Okay. I wish I spoke dolphin because I know they're telling us a lot of shit that we should be paying attention to. But yeah, incredibly, there were these like magical experiences, and that the mothers and the babies later described, like, when they got older of how, like, they remembered things, like, ancient things from past lives and things like that. Um, so right? Yeah. Yes, yes, right? So, it's just if you think about it, if you follow that surprise witness, she calls it like a womb, she calls it a womb. She calls it a portal, a magical, mystical portal between our legs, and it's true, guys, it really is, and they try to downplay this shit. They really try to downplay what incredible what incredible things we are, what being. I'm not just talking about women, I mean men too, okay? And this is why I want to talk about abortion and Charlie Kirk. Because Charlie Kirk just described something for me. He just described something for me that I couldn't describe for myself. And it made me finally come to a conclusion. And it makes so much sense. Okay. It makes so much sense. And I believe this now wholeheartedly. Okay. Um, he talked about when life began. When does life actually begin? Okay. And so basically, he said, it's he's describing this to a college student, and she's like, "Oh, it's an embryo, not until we're born," the typical scenario where people I've given these arguments. Like, I haven't really gotten into big debates on it because I never really felt super strongly about people having abortions. I just felt like it was a personal thing, and I don't need to talk about it. But since people are out here talking about it and killing actual babies after they're born, I think it's time we start fucking actually talking about when life does begin. And let's just say, like, life begins exactly when the Bible says it begins and exactly when Charlie Kirk said it began. When your mother's egg and your father's sperm met. When those two met, baby doll, they just did a little thing, and your DNA in every fucking cell in your body, every cell in your body was written in that instant that you continue to have to this day. That happened when that sperm and that egg met. That's when your life started. And it's so simple and obvious when you hear it that way, right? We don't have to talk about when the heartbeat is, when when the baby can feel pain. We don't have to go with any of that. Just think about it's actually a very spiritual and magical beginning of a life. And this is what they take away from us when they turn abortion into a degrading and base debate for the nation. We shouldn't be talking about things like this. These are private matters for families. And we should all understand that life begins when the two met. Like, I don't want to deny that my life began when my father's sperm and my mother's egg connected. Oh, I'm sorry, Al. I'm sorry. Because I'm definitely, listen, everything I'm saying here needs to be prefaced with this. Anybody who has ever had like an abortion or anybody who is pro women's choice or anything like that, you are all welcome here. I'm not trying to be judgmental. I'm not trying to say people should do one thing or another. What I'm trying to just do is talk about the truth and be honest, and also understand, like, everyone has a different perspective. This is just the perspective I came to after I heard him say that. It just made the most sense to me. And because how can you argue with that, right? Like, how can I argue with it? Like, my life started when my dad and my mom's egg and sperm met. Like, of course it did, right? I'm so sorry. Oh, I understand now what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, yeah. And here's the other crazy part. Like, I maybe could have been aborted. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, my mother would have never aborted me, but she was pregnant with me and not married in a time where that was not a good thing. Okay. Here's a funny story. All right. When I was growing up, my mother used to tell me that she was a virgin until she was married. Right. And then one day when I was 18, this is how naive and trusting and like sometimes maybe just stupid I am, I guess. One day when I was 18, I realized, well, wait a minute. When my parents graduated, from high school in this year, and I was born this year, and I'm like, and they were married, and I realized my parents got married 3 months before I was born. And when I saw a picture of my mom and dad's, like, wedding day, and my mom was wearing a pink baby doll dress, mini style, because she was about 6 months pregnant with me, and my dad and the coolest thing is because of my grandmother's influence in the Ukrainian community, they were able to marry in the Ukrainian church, even though my mom was clearly not like abiding by the law or of Christianity or whatever, like no sex before marriage. But they were able to get married in the church because my grandma knew a lot of people or whatever. It's amazing. And guess what? My parents are still married to this day. And, they've been married for all these years and they knew each other before, they went to a junior high prom together, senior prom together. They knew each other when they were like 8 or 9 years old and they used to, get into fights and stuff. They've known each other forever, right? And so, I don't even know how I got on that story, guys. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, she was. Oh, that's my point. I could have been aborted, right? I could have been aborted. I wasn't, you know. And there are a lot of people who lose babies or want babies, would like to adopt babies. And it's not such a simple fix though. The thing is, oh, thanks, tax, max, fax. It means a lot to me, honestly. It really does. More than you know right now. Trust me. I'll open up about some stuff down the road, but more than you know. So the thing about it is though, like uh I just feel like none of that can start. Like you can't change that quickly. And I understand. Like I'm watching some of these young kids debate Charlie Kirk. I'm so proud of the kids standing there, even though their voices are shaking and they're saying the stupidest shit I've ever heard. I'm still proud that they're up there doing it. And I'm proud that Charlie Kirk was sitting there and he was like not mocking them. And that's what was so great about him. And that's what makes me sometimes it really makes me infuriated that people are mocking him, mocking his death because he didn't mock people. He had some real straight brainwash or straight dopey ass people coming up asking him some questions that I'm like, "What?" And he not once mocked any of those people. He was very patient with them. He was respectful. He wasn't sarcastic. Ben Shapiro, that's a different story. Ben Shapiro is a straight up dick. Okay. I don't like Ben Shapiro. I would love to debate Ben Shapiro. Love to. He's a good debater, but I don't think he's that bright. And I think he's probably a disappointment to his entire family. That's what I think of Ben Shapiro. Okay. He's no Charlie Kirk. And now he's going to try to go on the college campuses and he said Ben Shapiro's going to start up the college tours now. Well, I'm sure it's easy when you have Mossad backing you up. I mean, Ben Shapiro's not going to get shot. It's going to Mossad backing him up. I mean, nobody wants to hear what Ben Shapiro has to say. People want to hear what Charlie Kirk had to say because Charlie Kirk was nice to people and he was nice to everybody. He was nice to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, he really was. Yeah, if Shapiro's the worst. The worst. The look on his face when Charlie Kirk asked him, I think it was maybe a week ago, it's okay, right? We can be critical of Israel, and the way Shapiro raised his eyebrows and was just kind of like, "How dare you talk to me like that?" He walks around like he's a king. Yeah, right. It made me just want to. It made me want to drop kick him. Honestly, let's just be honest. But I'm not promoting violence, and I would never do that. I promise you, never, never, never. But it does give that visceral instinct when somebody behaves that way, kind of like, really? Okay, yeah. Know what I'm saying? So it's just like, mm. He even went as far to get Derek out of jail. So tell me, thinkers think. What do you think about that? Because I'm not familiar with that at all. And like genuinely, and it may 100% be true. I'm just not familiar with it. I've heard a lot of sound bites. Okay, was it nice when he said black women aren't smart enough to process things? No, it wasn't, doll. Thinkers think. Can I play something for you? And you have a right to never change your mind. You have a right to never change your mind. But I would just ask you, please. Um Context matters, and I don't know that he said that specifically. I'm not saying he didn't, but I'm pretty sure he did not. Right, that's what I'm saying. Because 'cause I've heard him say, here's the soundbite. I'll tell you the soundbite that I've heard a lot when they say he's racist. This is the Charlie Kirk racist soundbite. So I hope people hear me out, because then I'm gonna show you some things that maybe will make you change your mind, right? Okay. So, here. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, and then I'm gonna play something else, because I don't wanna stand on what other people are saying. What I heard him say is if he got onto a plane, if it was a black person or a female pilot, he would be concerned. Something to that effect, right? Um, and I remember him saying something about a customer service agent or something. But I think where people are not following through with is that he's talking about DEI. He's talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay. And now this is a trigger subject. And I am not by any means trying to get people upset. I'm gonna tell you why it sounds sane, thinkers think. Please hear me out though, okay? I'm gonna tell you why. All right. Diversity, equity, and inclusion promotes in the workplace diversity and equity over merit. And so many times what happens is, if you go and you look, this has happened in the tech company first, where Apple and these tech companies, they were like, there's not enough mix of people in these companies. You people, and they said that because there wasn't enough, say, black people or brown people at Apple or Facebook or wherever, they said that reflected that they were racist. This is kind of where it starts, okay? And so then they decide, it comes through human resources, and they say, we want you to make sure you're hiring more diverse people for these positions. And by diverse, they meant other races, right? Because there's an underrepresentation of either women or race in Apple or whatever it might be. Okay. And so then what happens is you have two people come in, and one may be more qualified than the other, but if they are not needed because they're overrepresented already with their race, the other person gets it. And so now you're not hiring someone based on their merit. You're not hiring on someone based on the fact that, like, they got the best scores in school, they did the best job in their residency. They, passed the highest test, whatever, right? Now, when you do that, that's probably fine for most things, if you want to be honest. Like, okay, increase diversity at Macy's or whatever, like in certain areas. The problem though is this, and this is just be real with yourself. Just be real with yourself though. With DEI hires, what Charlie Kirk was trying to say is, and I believe this is a fact, that if they're doing DEI hires at Spirit or American Airlines, or they're doing DEI entries for surgical residencies at, I don't know, New York General or whatever hospital you go to, when you have a black surgeon, are you going to wonder, like, did this guy get here because he's the fucking best, actually better than any white people because it's harder for him? Or did he get here because he was underrepresented as a black man? They felt like they had to hand it out to him. That's, to me, logically, let's just be real. That's what DEI is. To me, it's actually racist to think black people need a fucking handout. And so that is what Charlie Kirk is referring to when he's saying that. And I think people have taken sound bites and strung them together and tried to make him into a racist when he's not. In fact, I watched 4 TikToks at least last night of black people. And I'm not saying these people represent all black people. I'm just saying there are a lot of black people out there sticking up for him, saying he's not racist. And here's why. He helped like 30 of us get into the White House or whatever at one point. He promoted, it was called Black America Turning Point or something. Like, he helped promote the black youth. So I do hear myself. I'm not racist. Wait a minute, hold on. Do you want to come up, Thinkers Think? Do you want to come up and talk? Because I honestly believe that there's a miscommunication. You know what I mean? I do. I don't want to argue with anybody, especially somebody who's been giving attention to my channel. And I appreciate all you listening. I appreciate you hearing me. And I'm like, the last thing I want, look, I'm going to speak the truth. I have to. I'm not going to lie about what I think to be true, but I also don't want you, I can't change the way you, if you think that that's what I am, that's what you think I am. I'm trying to be as logical as possible here. And I think it's a shame, really. Yeah, well, here, but you know what? I'm gonna let Charlie speak for himself right now, in case any of you have listened to him. Because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't listen to him a lot. Yeah. So let me show you guys. Here we go. What I really want to do is go to here we go, guys.
Okay, so let's pop quiz. When does heartbeats begin for babies in utero?
Have you ever eaten an egg before? That's yes or no. Have you ever eaten an egg before?
Scrambled, yeah.
Okay, so would that be you scrambled a full chicken?
Well, hold on. You understand it takes an egg to be fertilized?
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Your point, the whole point you're making, is
hold
that
on. So,
a
but no,
baby,
since we're doing pop quiz on like human development, so when exactly do heart waves begin in utero?
you know that, but you don't know.
Right,
Hold on. No, tell me when heartbeat.
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know.
No.
So wait, hold on. So you're trying to say I know more about the woman reproductive system than you do?
I am
Okay,
a woman,
hold on.
so yes.
Yes. Okay.
Hold on. Wait a minute. This is definitely here. Barely listen, but want to tell you He wasn't something. Okay. No, I mean, here's the thing. Look, maybe he was racist. It's possible. I'm not going to tell you he wasn't because I haven't watched everything he ever said. I don't know the guy, and he's not a friend of mine. But I will tell you that I have watched a lot of his talks and debates with these kids, and I haven't heard him say anything racist. But that's my perspective, and that's all I can give you. You know what I mean? Regardless, I think the loss is really bad because I don't anybody being shot like that on national television, a political assassination is a sign, in case anybody doesn't know, right? It's a sign that we're in very fragile waters here as a country. Now, I don't think we're going to have a civil war right now. Everybody's still eating. But eventually, when people aren't eating and they can't make certain bills, yeah, we're going to have a civil war. That's when that's going to come. Not from Charlie Kirk being killed. It just fuels the divide more. It's all it's done is fuel the divide more. And that's why I'm talking about it, because I don't want there to be a divide. Because at the end of the day, like, I think that you know, I think that the media has created an excessive amount of division that like in real life doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like in real life, I don't think that people are really like this upset with each other. I mean, I don't see it in my real life, you know, that people are walking around fucking like losing their shit over like trans politics or racism or abortion or Charlie Kirk. Like nobody in my circles, in my state really is losing their shit that I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not happening. But this is a big fucking problem, right? Like this was a political assassination. It was pretty bad. I mean, Charlie Kirk was probably going to be running with JD Vance at some point as vice president, you know? But they've painted Charlie Kirk to be a radical. And see, I'm a Gen Xer. And so when I listen to what Charlie Kirk is saying, he said the things that they said on my campus in the 80s, and I thought those people were assholes. But it was the same people against racial quotas, because back then it was affirmative action, but it's still the same thing. It's a quota. There has to be enough of women in a certain area. There has to be enough, you know, white people, not whites, never white, but enough black people, Asian people, South, and whatever it might be, right? They have different quotas that you have to fill. And this has come back and forth with the Reagan era, and then the DEI comes in, and that was sort of coming in again, right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Charlie Kirk did not go to college. He was an enemy on a lot of different levels to a lot of people, because I know there may be still some people that think he's racist. I'm not of that belief. I want to show you this actually. This is actually a great this was so good. Hold on for a minute. Hold on. This is really good. I got to play this for you guys. Let me find it. 1 second. It's this one here. Safe haven. Okay, hold on. Oh my gosh. I'm just trying to find this thing. This is so good. This lady. Okay, here it is. I'm just trying to find something that I want to play for you guys, but okay. Terrence W. Here we go. This is so frustrating. Hold on. One second, guys. I will be back. I'm just trying to find this thing at W. All right, forget it. I'm just going to play it off my phone. It's just easier, maybe. Let me see if I can do that. Okay.
I cried because he's a man, and men like him are courageous who get unalive for speaking their truth. I cried because he was in his most vulnerable state and someone unalived him when he couldn't even fight back. He didn't even have the opportunity to shoot your crusty ass back. Hell yeah, I cried. That shit hurt right here. Us content creators are the minority while the rest of the world watches. It takes a lot of courage to get in front of the camera and tell how you really fucking feel. What's also pissing me off is the fact that people are gloating in his death, including black people. Oh, because you think
Oh, hold on. Sorry. This is so fucking frustrating.
or you heard a quote online about him, in particular about the black pilot, when he said, yeah, I quote, if I get on a plane and I see a black pilot, I'm going to question his qualifications. He was talking about DEI quotas, motherfucker. Ever heard of them? You can thank the Democratic Party for that. Companies do it all the time. They hire you based upon diversity, okay? Not upon merit, which leaves people like me to question the competency. Oh, so you hired this nigga because his name is Jerome Willis? You can't find a plane. You gotta see DEI every day. They're behind the podiums, loud and fucking wrong like that time. Let's give it all the way above. If I'm on a flight and I see a Hispanic pilot who's a reformed gang member from LA who's tatted from head to toe, I'm gonna hope he's not a part of the fucking cartel. So this flight is going to Sweden, not Jalisco, correct? What's wrong with asking questions? That's called discernment. That's a Charlie. Everything's fucking racist. Black people, you don't even know who this man is. You've never even listened to a full fucking podcast. You've never listened to a full speech. You've never listened to a full debate. If you did, you might feel differently. You and for you to be a successful culture in the US of A, you better start building better foundations. You better release the victimhood. You are no longer a slave. Slavery is not affecting your ass. Let that shit fucking go. Build stronger families. Build stronger education. Build stronger values and bring the black father back in the home. He has never fucking lied, and you unalived him for that. You unalived him for feeling a certain way and telling you the fucking truth. Mighty funny. You got trans people walking around here every day feeling some type of way. They feel like they're women, yet they got balls between their legs. I bet you feel that, and you're still unalived. How fucking fair is that? So yes, I cried. I absolutely did cry. That was a courageous man. And if you are still afraid to speak, you are still afraid to stand, you are still afraid to create, you are proving Charlie right. So are you a fucking leader or a fucking follower? Which one are you?
Okay, girl. The real Candy Lou. All right, I got another really, I thought, interesting one here. Let me find it. Let's see. This one was really, really good too. Let me find him. I think it was Amir. Yeah, him. Oh, this guy's great. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right.
Misinformation that is commonly being spread right now about Charlie Kirk. And it's ironic because someone like Charlie Kirk is oftentimes called racist and homophobic, yet he's one of the main reasons this YouTube channel that you're watching right now even exists.
All right, hold on. I'm going to pull this up on his channel so you guys can hear it because I do think this guy is worth listening to. Hold on 1 minute. Whoops, sorry. Wait, I just want to show you guys this because I think this is helpful. Here we go. All right.
The truth. Not even one day after the event, it was one day, the night of the
All right,
first.
hold on.
The purpose of this video.
All right, so here we go, guys. All right, so here we're gonna I'm gonna play this, okay? Sorry, hopefully you guys can hear this. Hopefully you guys can hear this. This is somebody who Charlie Kirk helped out. He's obviously black and he's also a homosexual. And so people may think that Charlie Kirk doesn't like black people and doesn't like homosexuals. But this is someone who is both and is here to tell us what he thinks about Charlie Kirk. So let's hear what he has to say.
To serve as a tool to combat all the lies and misinformation that is commonly being spread right now about Charlie Kirk. And it's ironic because someone like Charlie Kirk is oftentimes called racist and homophobic, yet he's one of the main reasons this YouTube channel that you're watching right now even exists in the first place. He knew the young gay black Amir in 2018 and strongly advocated him to be more vocal online and spread his thoughts and to always seek the truth. Not even one day after the event, it was one day, the night of the first event I ever gone to in 2018, where I met Charlie Kirk for the first time, that I started being vocal online. And here we are today. And to this day, I still have one of the hats he even gave me. So I feel like this video is necessary because that's all Charlie ever did and pushed me to do and push everyone to do is to seek out the truth. So I want to put the truth in his words in a very articulate manner. You can go through this video chapter by chapter and it hits a lot of different marks and topics and things that are currently being said about Charlie Kirk. And me and Charlie, we've had our disagreements and that's all they ever were. We're just disagreements because you're allowed to disagree with somebody. You're allowed not to agree 100% with somebody that you're talking to or you're an associate with. And if someone sent you this video and you're new to me, you have no idea who I am, you have no idea, or you just only heard the things about Charlie Kirk, I really do hope that throughout this video, you are listening to understand rather than listening to respond. At least for this video, just listening to understand why so many people loved Charlie Kirk. They say he's racist, but why are so many black people upset that Charlie Kirk has passed? They say he's homophobic, but why are so many gay people upset that Charlie Kirk passed? They say he's misogynistic. Well, why are so many women sad that Charlie Kirk has passed? They say he's transphobic. Why are there even trans people sad that Charlie Kirk has passed? They say he's a white nationalist. Well, why are so many black, Hispanics, Asians, the list goes on, anyone that's not white, very upset that Charlie Kirk has passed. If any of those terms were real about Charlie Kirk, then why on earth do all the same people that were commonly being told he hates, loves, and supports him? Just stop for 1 second, just 1 second. Stop listening to mainstream media. Stop listening to your friend groups. Stop listening to your echo chambers in social media, which even I myself in, and I try my best to, get away from echo chambers. Just stop being told how to think. And yeah, you're watching this video and I'm helping debunk the lies, but it's with his words and with full context, of which most people are not getting. Like, that's the one thing I learned from Charlie the most back in 2017, 2018, when I was really, all my worldview and my thoughts are being challenged. Watching his content and even getting the chance to meet him was just, seeking the truth for myself. I listened to my friends, I listened to my favorite influencers and creators, but I always defaulted to my own research and deep research, really understanding what they were saying and why. And it's hard. It destructs your worldview. It's challenging. It is, but it's needed. We have to stop and think for ourselves. Like, truly, again, I can't stress this enough. Everything that they say Charlie is, there's a group of people for each one, each term, that absolutely adore him and miss him. Why? That's what this video is about. This is exactly what Charlie always pushed me to do. And this is what I feel like is missing right now in this discourse about who this man is, especially from the left, the party of.
Here's the thing, right? Because I appreciate your perspectives, Jesus, perspective. Thinkers think. I appreciate it. Okay, and I'm aware that for sure, right? I definitely believe that. And that's what I mean by discernment, right? And I'm not saying I'm better, you're better at discernment. None of that. And I am not even saying, look, Charlie Kirk pushed a white agenda in the sense that it was like an old-fashioned agenda, right? Which is like the mom and dad in the house, the mom at home, just more of a cohesive family unit. I don't think that's against black people. And he was asking black people the same thing. I think a lot. I'm not black, but I do believe, and some of the black people I do know personally are more conservative leaning. Like, they really are. I'm not going to be naive enough to say like people aren't racist. I'm not saying that. I just haven't seen Charlie Kirk to demonstrate that yet. I just haven't.
Of love, inclusivity, positivity, the list goes on. If that is the case, why are things like this being displayed? Why are things like this being promoted right now? Why are things like this being said? You don't see that type of behavior on the right. You don't. Hell, even the center, you don't. You just don't. Like, again, you're listening to a black gay man who used to be so far on the left, crying in the streets, and now I'm more center right, admittedly, because of my own research that I've done. People think I grew up so privileged. I've been homeless before. I've been sent to conversion therapy. Like, there's so much to me in my story. So like let's get any pre-notions about who I am and what I do, get those out. Okay, this video is for the person that I once was, who was lost in this realm, in this mainstream media, in this news cycle, not knowing what to believe, where to go. That's when I make content like this. Again, this party of love, inclusivity, positivity, like it.
Don't you wish summer could go on forever? Where every day is an endless beach day with a new adventure on every time.
Sorry, guys.
Limitless feasts for the senses and long nights filled with magic and mystery.
God, I'm lost over here, guys. Sorry.
St. Augustine,
By the time
Ponte
I
Vedra,
find
and the
this,
beaches.
it's gonna be like,
Explore Florida's historic.
There we go.
It's everything but. There's this massive wave, and we'll get into that in another video, but there's this massive wave of people leaving the left. You don't see it that much from the right. And there's reason for that. You know, you think about George Floyd in 2020. George Floyd passed, and in response to George Floyd dying was a summer of riots, $2 billion in damage, and over like 30 people killed. We lose Charlie Kirk, and the only thing that's happening is vigils and people mourning. And then everybody on the
Wait a
left
second,
very
wait a second, wait
happy
a
and
second, wait a
ecstatic.
second. I can say the same argument back to you. You're saying, so because some blacks say he's not racist, he's not okay. Well, then I could say to you or anyone. So because some person online who's not offering me any proof says he's racist. Okay. I mean, seriously, think about the argument you're offering here. And that's that this is one of the things that I think why it's important to talk about race even when I'm not black. Because I still have a view on what I'm seeing and I don't want to have blind spots. I just am not seeing it, you know? He's against DEI, which essentially means he is against racial quotas. He's against people being hired based on their color being underrepresented. And here's the thing. I get it. I understand why. And I don't doubt that in certain scenarios it happens, right? The racism exists. I don't doubt it. I just don't know that it exists to the degree that some people portray it as. In other words, just because someone is white, they are not automatically racist. They're not automatically superior in some way, had better upbringing, more privilege, or any of that stuff than another race. Like it's just not true. And I wouldn't give that to any race, like me, period. I wouldn't be like, oh, well, those East Indians clearly have East Indian privilege. They're so much better than me because they've been privileged in the way they were. I would not let somebody take my fucking dignity away from me. I would say, oh fuck, oh hell no, you don't got nothing different than I do. I'm a person of God, a woman of God, a child of God, of the universe. We all have gifts. You don't have better or more or less than me because in this universe you were given more riches. That doesn't make you more privileged because you were given more opportunities. Like I think it's a mind fuck for white people and black people to start to dislike each other when we start doing this shit. Because the reality is there's poor people and there's rich people. And there's people in control and there are those being controlled. And most of us are being controlled on one level or another. It's a struggle for everybody out here right now. Look up what he said about white on white crime. I mean, if you send it to me, you know what I mean? If you want to send it to me, I don't know it. Like, I don't see it. And look here, let me just say this too. Like, I got to pull this down for a minute. I'm going to pull that down because I get it. Like, I don't want to be one of those people like, look here, this black woman said it, so you should believe it, or this black person. I'm pulling it up because I think it's important, and I've said this before, to get black Americans' perspectives on shit, especially if you're white, especially if you don't know any black people. You need to get a pulse on other people in our country, right? It's important. And that's how I learn shit. And that's how I avoid blind spots for shit. But I also know, like, I don't make my opinions lightly. Like, if I'm going to get up here and speak, like that woman said, who I agree with, I'm the one up here speaking my opinions. It's because I've thought them out pretty clearly. But I don't think that my opinions are any better than anyone else's, or I don't even want to force my opinions on anybody. I just want to open up dialogues with people. I want to talk about shit that is on my mind that maybe is on other people's minds so they feel less alone and less anxious. Because we're in a really weird spot in history right now. Like, we're in a really fucking weird spot. It's like the beginning of another revolution, like industrial revolution. Like, remember when they went from all the farming and stuff to like, you know, inside and like, you know, computers and all this stuff. Like now we're going to AI and it's going to happen exponentially. It's going to happen so quick, guys. So quick. And honestly, in terms of the Civil War, this is another talking point, guys. Like, this is another fear mongering talking point. Nobody is having a civil war right now. Like, we're just not at that point. If you want to turn on Fox News or you want to turn on certain people who are paid to scare the shit out of the American public with their bullshit propaganda lies, then you can get yourself worked up into thinking we're going to have a fucking civil war or a race war tomorrow. But the reality is that shit's not happening right now because people are comfortable. And when people are comfortable, they're not going to go to the streets and start fighting people over shit. People still are able to make, for the most part, their rent and their house payments and their car payments, and they have a job and they're eating. Now, when that shit changes, which it will happen, that's when a civil war is going to break out. But right now, it's not happening. And truthfully, I think Charlie Kirk was one of the people trying to prevent a civil war. And the other thing he said that was really fucking interesting, and I thought smart, and I hadn't thought about this. And so I do encourage people to listen to him. Is he said that we're going to have a revolt in this country similar to the revolt in Venezuela, the Venezuelan youth revolt, because there is a generation of kids out there who don't understand the value of work, don't have really any value system. They don't know what up or down is. They've been abandoned, right? We have this whole class of kids out there, and they think a 9-to-5 job is hard. That's a revolution in the making. You know, that's happening in Nepal right now. They've shut down all the social media in Nepal. See, what happened in Nepal was, go look it up. You can find some stuff on it. Nobody's talking about it. In Nepal, what happened was they were able to figure out that these politicians had offshore Swiss bank accounts with millions in them. And meanwhile, in Nepal, there are people, you know, who only get one, you know, bag of rice per family person. I mean, they're not doing well. The citizens are not doing well, right? And so when they found this out, people got pissed. And so they start talking about it on social media. And then what happened was the Nepali government basically created martial law, and they shut down all the social media to the Western world. And then what happened is the kids got really pissed and they started storming against the government, and 19 students got killed. 19 students got killed in Nepal. This happened in the past couple weeks. And then after 19 students got killed, they decided they were really fucking pissed now. And they went down and they burned down some government officials' homes. They want blood now from the politicians. Do you see how quick that escalated? And they don't own guns in Nepal. The people don't. But the tension was ripe for economic reasons. If people's bellies were full and they were content, they might have been okay with the politicians' corruption. People don't want to tolerate it anymore now. We all know there's corruption. We've known there's fucking corruption for years. Everybody lets it go because it's our nature. We're fucking lazy. We don't do anything about it. At the end of the day, black, white, whatever, it's us against them. And they're winning because we're fucking stupid enough to fall prey to these narratives that they put at us to divide us. You know what I mean? Truthfully. There are way more racial tensions online than in real life. And I feel like the online bullshit creates real life tensions that don't exist. And I feel like if more people just spoke to each other rather than assume a bunch of shit, that they'd realize like we have so much more in common than we don't. And yes, there's always going to be racism. Even within Africa, there's racism, there's tribalism. I mean, do you know how racist China is? Do you know how racist Korea is? Asians are extremely fucking racist people. And that's their culture, though, right? Like when you go to Korea, I've been there, I know. When you go to Korea as a Caucasian, they're like, what the fuck are you doing here? At least it was like that back when I went. Now it's probably more metropolitan. But the point I'm trying to make is the person I went with was half Korean. Happened to be my ex-husband, but my point is, even though he was 50% North Korean blood and the other 50%, you know, European, whatever you want to call it, Polish, whatever. When he was in Korea, he was not considered Korean because he was not 100% Korean because they are that racist about it. And China's pretty much the same way too, I think. I could be wrong. And then if you go to Africa, there are tribes that believe their tribe is superior than other tribes based on all kinds of things. And they believe that's the law. It's true. There's no arguing about it. This tribe is superior for these reasons. And it's been that way for hundreds of years. And we know that's not true, right? Let's just be honest. Not one group of people are better or superior to another. Not one person is better or superior to another. So what I'm trying to say is like, you can make these things bigger than they are. And right now I feel like they have. I'm not saying they don't exist. I would never say they don't exist because I've seen the shit. Let's see. What are you guys talking about over here? White on white violence. He really I did see you really wanted me to play his clip on white violence. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna find that because I do want to. You offered something that you feel proves he is racist, and I want to play it. So let's take a look. Hold on. YouTube. Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk. White on white crime. All right, here we go. Wait a minute, hold on. All right, sorry, I had pulled up the wrong thing. And here. No, this is important to talk about. Hold on, let me see if I can. I'm just trying to find the white on white clip. Slow, annoying. Hmm. All right. Jack Carlos. All right, here. Hold on. Sorry, I'm just trying to find something here. My God, I'm so lost. It's not easy for me to find these clips. I get easily. I would be lost for hours, guys. You can't send me on a wild goose chase. All right, thank you. Yeah, I did just see this though, and this kind of like irritated me. Let me just read this, okay? Let me see if you guys can. Yeah, let me just read. This kind of irritates me. All right. What do you guys think? Hello, Wellington Oda. Thinkers think I love you too, man. I love you too. There is no hard feelings here. All right. And I really truly appreciate it. I appreciate your perspective and like, we'll talk. I appreciate you, man. I don't take it personally. I don't look, I understand everybody has their own perspective and I don't walk in your shoes. So I will not know. But a middle-aged Jewish man would like to talk to you about this subject. He's cammed up. Would you drop the StreamYard? Sure, as long as you are fully clothed, sir. Oh, Charleston is a police informant. Well, he said some pretty nasty stuff, honestly. And you know what? I'm not even going to bring it up because we have someone that would like to come up and discuss. So I will drop a link. 1 second. Thank you, Thinkers Think. Appreciate you saying that because what he said was really pretty awful. Oops, hold on here. I would like to drop the link. Copied. Okay, here we go. Command. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. He was a big part of MAGA. I get it. I know. And Trump is very divisive, you know, and that's part of the problem. And the thing about it is like, and I know like the stats and I've looked at that stuff and everything, but statistics lie, and I'm not saying that those aren't true. I'm just saying like I think people have to use some of their common sense too, right? And I think like it just sucks. You know what I mean? It sucks. I think most people are just too afraid to fucking talk about it or say it or whatever. And, you know, I'm not afraid to talk about it because I don't have any ill intention here. I'm just trying to find common ground and understand what the fuck people think. I did drop that link for you. Cephas, a middle-aged Jewish man who would like to talk about the subject. I did drop it for you, sir. I believe it's here somewhere. This part is true that he did ask them that Right, we do. We kill within our race. Exactly. I agree with that. A lot, and I agree with this too. Which is truthfully, I mean, we talk about this before, but like educate education system, the education system sucks. All right. It's really an indoctrination system. Uh the things I learned in school were, how to live in an authoritarian society. I mean, if you ask too many questions, they get upset with you. You have to get permission to go to the bathroom. Um, you have to be on time or you'll get in trouble. And holy shit, like junior high is bad for pretty much everybody because all of the hormones and stuff. And then you have to like compete against these other warring factions of kids. It's very serious when you're in junior high. I mean, I remember when I was in junior high, I felt like that shit was life or death. Like literally, reinforcements needed before you walked in on the first day of 8th grade. It was tough. The American school system sucks and it needs to just be completely redone. Personally, I think people should just create um I think people should just create their own school systems now, you know. It's really easy too. Like you can learn a lot without school now. Everything's available at our fingertips. I think the schools are going to become obsolete, the public schools. I really do. I think that's why Trump dismantled the public, Department of Education. How can that shit stay up? Like it's losing on every front. Students in America are becoming less and less literate, more ignorant. Our school system sucks. It's a failure. The public education system in the United States, I think we can call it a failure at this point. I think it worked for a lot of years and it was great, but it's a different world now. Shit's different. We need to make a new one. People need to like educate in their communities, within their communities, that kind of stuff, you know. I love that kind of shit. I think that's the way it should be anyway. Public school's always been, I mean, it's scary. I mean, it's almost like traumatic when you think about going to public school, right? Getting on the school bus and shit and how scary it is. Going away from your parents and stuff. You're still a little kid. You're around these adults that are weird and not nice. Sometimes they're nice. Sometimes they're too nice. Fucking scary out there. I mean, I'm glad I went to public school. I lived in that generation, but I think it's going to be a bygone at some point. I don't think these things are going to stay around anymore. 100%, right? That's why you have to raise your hand to go to the bathroom. That's why it's like every 50 minutes the bell goes off and you have to go somewhere else. It's just a training ground. And then they rewrite history, mostly the World War II garbage. And yeah. I love the uneducated. Yeah. I mean, again, it's out of context. I don't want to pick on it, but my guess is he loved the uneducated because he felt like the Democratic Party in response to that look down on people who only have a high school education, right? And the Democrats, they've always been a party of elite. I mean, the Democrats have always been that way since I was a kid, from all I can remember. They've been the party of, PhDs and intellectualism and atheism. They've mocked Christianity for as long as I can remember. That's the Democratic Party. I believe in general. I'm not saying everybody that's a Democrat feels that way. I'm just saying in general, that's my idea of the Democratic Party, and these people on TV who are pundits, Democratic pundits, they're all like nepo, really dumb people. And they're calling Trump supporters uneducated because they didn't go to like the Ivy League schools they went to. They have a disdain for the lower class. And uneducated does not mean dumb or stupid, but that's what a lot of Democrats believe, I think. Not what I believe, obviously. Welcome, welcome. Wellington Oda, again, welcome for becoming a member yesterday. Hi, Christina. That's why we all got a high behind the gym. Oh, I gotcha. Got high behind the gym. Exactly right. Oh my God. Absolutely. No, it is. It is. It's a religion just as much as science is a religion. Scientism, right? Oh my God. Yeah, scientism is the worst. Is the worst. It's the fucking worst, man. I mean, and I say it's the worst from personal experience because, yeah, I mean, it's shit's for real, right? Teachers are dropping out in fear of their life. Yeah, I mean, shit's getting real. I keep thinking of that video that oh God, I'm blanking on this artist's name, but I know you guys know it. The one, it's called "This Is America," and I mean, it was really fucking wild the first time I saw it. But that's what we're living in right now. And I knew he was showing us our future when he did it. Remember the choir walks up with the AK, shoots them all, keeps walking. Really fucking weird and creepy. Everybody's on their phone looking down. I mean, it's just clown world, right? You got beat up a lot. I'm not sure, doll. I don't know what you missed here. But yes, I definitely got high. Okay, so I'll give you what happened. That's actually funny. So I didn't usually get high before school. I used to drink before school. I was a fucking bad kid, all right. So when I was like 15 or 16, my whole family moved and I was just like so dramatic and I didn't want to move and I loved where I was and blah blah blah. Then I was like, I have to stay. So I ended up living with one of my grandparents and it didn't work out the greatest, but I ended up getting kicked out of her house because she had, those old dial-up phones. That's how old I am, guys. I used to use those old fucking dial-up phones. Well, my grandmother didn't like the fact that I would talk to boys because I was only like 15. She got a little tiny fucking padlock, like this small, and she put it through the number on the phone. So when you went to dial, you couldn't complete a call unless you had the key. This is my grandmother, okay? So I would have to get a key. So then when I get the key, I had to give her a quarter to make the call. So now she knows I'm on the phone, and then I'm on the phone talking to like my boyfriend or whoever. And then she clear as day picks up the line in the other room and she's just breathing into the phone, listening to us talk. So I love my grandmother. She was amazing. She was Italian and she didn't want me to get pregnant and have anything. She didn't want me around boys. One time, and I was a bad kid, right? Like I was always trying to get away with shit. I went to the dance and me and my cousins, like idea was like drop us off and then like we would leave. And my grandma knew we were going to leave with someone else. So she was hiding in the bushes and she jumped out. And, like I got caught. So anyway, eventually she couldn't handle it. You know, it was too much stress for her. So I went to live with my other grandmother and I loved her. She was great. But I used to mix like all the different alcohol. Even though she had lines, I'd fill it back up with water and I'd mix it all into a cup and I would drink that on the way to school. So it'd be like a little bit of mostly vodka Smirnoff and then like what other cheap shit she had in there. It tasted awful, but I would drink that on the way to school. But one day, oh yeah, Granny was smart. She know, right? But so one day I go to school and I was a field hockey player. I was actually pretty fucking good at it. Okay. I was a center. I was a field hockey player. And my boyfriend said, "Hey, meet me before school." So we met before school across from the school in one of those, you know, it's like if you're waiting for a bus and they have those little like tin things they have in like cities, it's like that kind of thing. So we're waiting in there, and me and him are in there, and and he had a pipe, and he's like, "Hey, you want to hit this?" And I really didn't, but I wanted to be cool and whatever, peer pressure, stupid. And I take a hit, and I'm in my freaking field hockey uniform because we used to have to wear them to school, you know, if we had a game that day, and in my stick too. And so it's pretty identifiable. So here I am. I'm in first grade. I'm in first period, not first grade, first period. And I'm just kind of like stoned and I'm trying to like fucking just be like, okay, it's going to be okay. Like this will pass soon. And the freaking vice principal walks in and says my name. And everyone in the class turns and looks at me. And I felt like that moment in Thriller when Michael Jackson was like, you know, like everyone like went like this, like all the like, you know, the monsters. I'm like, oh my God, right? I'm like, shit. So they were like, oh, the principal wants to see you. So I had to walk to the principal's office with the vice principal. All right. So now I'm walking. Oh, I got stories for days. Thinkers think. You wouldn't believe some of the fucking stories I have, man. All right. So anyway, I'm walking down the hall trying to get straight, like trying to be as straight as fucking possible, meanwhile being high. And the vice principal is walking me to the principal's office, and I'm trying to understand what's going on. I know it's because I got busted, but I'm like, so what's this about or whatever? And he's like, yeah, I'm not sure or whatever. So fuck. So then I'm sitting there with the principal, and the principal's like, we saw you get high, right? We saw you get high across the street, blah, blah, blah. And of course, my mother taught me this at a young age. Okay. She taught me to never admit to shit. All right. And she told me to get a lawyer too, but it wasn't at that level yet. So here I am high, and I'm like, no, I didn't get high. No, I didn't do that. I don't know what you're talking about. I kept denying it and denying it and denying. I kept denying it, right? But they brought in my field hockey coach, and she really wore me down. And so eventually what happened was my boyfriend, he was such a dick, okay? He asked me to put his pipe and weed in my fucking lunch bag in the locker room. And so eventually I gave him up. I snitched on him. But at the end of the day, he fucking set me up by asking me to put it in my thing. So I don't care. And so I told them that, you know. So it kind of sucked for him. But at the end of the day, like, fuck you for trying to set me up. But anyway, this is the craziest part, okay? I told them, okay, fine, like, he asked me to hold this or whatever. But I still never admitted to smoking, right? And they never called my parents. They didn't even call my grandmother. This is fucking crazy. Like, I cried and begged them to not call my parents or my grandmother, so they didn't. And exactly right. It was a simpler time. But the funny part is later, I would say like a few months later, the principal got arrested for embezzlement. Like at that whole time while he's giving me shit, saying like he saw me smoking across the street or whatever, weed, he was like embezzling funds. So I know, right? Exactly. Exactly. That's what this motherfucker did. They tried to gaslight me so bad, and I did not crack. I did not crack. My mother, man, my mother planted some things in my mind that I'll never forget as I was growing up. And so I never cracked. So I sat there and he's like, we know that you were over there smoking that weed or whatever. We know that you were there with, so and so, and he's already in trouble. We have someone that saw you. So you need to come clean and tell us. And I'm sitting there in my fucking field hockey skirt and shit. And I'm like, no, wasn't me. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I don't smoke. I'm an athlete. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I just refused. I just fucking refused. I mean, they were really trying to wear me down. When they did finally get the hockey coach in, I said that, like I said, it was in my lunch. He hid it in there. But like, I still never admitted that I smoked anything. But yeah, it was pretty fucking wild, is right. It was crazy. Somebody obviously ratted on me. I mean, let's just be honest. It was probably one of those bitches in high school that didn't like me. And they were like, oh my God, look, she's smoking with so and so. We're going to tell. I got ratted out on, you know. But it is pretty funny. I don't know who the fuck ratted me out. It doesn't matter at this point. Yeah, we had to wait a week, right? Holy shit. Crazy. It was a different time. It was a slower time. Hello. Hello. Thanks for being here. It was a slower time, right? It was just like so, like a summer day when I was in 8th grade or 7th grade. There's no cell phone. You're outside walking around, seeing some people play basketball, hang out, watch the game, walk down to the store, hang out, see some other people whatever. Like, that's a summer day. Now a summer day is everybody's on these, and I don't know. It's just different, right? I had to call her house to get laid. It would take 6 to 8 weeks exactly. Between listening to Post and Wookie tell the chat how they are. I'm crying for how old they are. Oh, I got a great story. You ready for this one? You're going to love this one, Wookie. Okay, this shit is great. Okay, you know what I did? This is what I did. Okay, when I moved in with my first grandmother, right? Because whatever. When I moved in with her, I saw those ads, guys. Back in the day, those ads were very enticing, weren't they? When you're 14 or 15, get 20 CDs for 99 cents, and then one each month for an additional 10.99, or whatever the fuck it was, right? But you could get the CD. It wasn't CD. I'm sorry. Let's go back. Cassettes. It was a cassette. No CD. It was a cassette, like a regular cassette, or it could be possibly an 8-track. I'm not sure. But you know what I did, guys? I filled out the form. I wanted the free CDs, right? I'm 15, but I made up a birth date, put that shit in there, and I get delivered from Columbia House like 10 free cassettes. I think I picked Meatloaf and Leonard Skinner, Led Zeppelin, and then like Diana Ross, oh my God, Michael Jackson. I mean, I had like all kinds of mixes. I loved it though. I got them all right. And then, okay, I didn't pay shit. Okay. And then when the bill came or whatever and they were coming, I acted like I didn't know what's going on. I'm like, I don't know what that is. I didn't order those. Those aren't mine, So then my grandmom got worked up about it. So she calls up my mom, and my mom's getting worked up about it. And she's like, you didn't do this? I was like, no, this was back when I used to lie. Okay. I don't lie like this shit anymore. I lied though. Okay. I said I didn't do that. So she called up the company, Columbia House. She called them up. There was like an 800 number. She called them up and she told them that they need to stop bothering her because she doesn't know like where I am and that I had run away. She said so, and it's their fault. She said it's your own fault for allowing a child to enter into a contract that they can't hold up. So stop sending me shit. So they stopped sending her shit. I got to keep the 10 cassettes or whatever. And that's the end of that story. Anybody else do that shit? Yep, exactly. Exactly. That's their own damn fault though. You know, you put that in front of a 14 or 15-year-old's face like that. I mean, ultimately I realized that's theft and I'm not endorsing. I'm just saying that's what I did. You know what I mean? Like that's what I did. I also used to do a ton of prank phone calling back in the day. I used to love to prank phone call, especially like bakeries and shit. Oh wait, hold on. Let's see what this one says. It says I had 8 different Columbia House memberships, and my mom was like, you have to buy like 38. Oh, I didn't read that part. Exactly, right? Oh, I didn't know that. No, 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 no. No, no. But you know what? If you did all that shit before you turned 18, you pretty much got away with it. It's their fault, really, if you think about it. They don't do that as much as they used to, but it was so funny. That's hilarious though. But yeah, I used to do the prank phone calls. Like when I was much younger, I'm going to say like 7 or 8. Cause my parents were both working. So I was like more like a latchkey type kid. So I'd be home with my grandfather and I got bored, guys. So I started making phone calls. So I'd call up 911. Help me, please help me. And then I'd hang up. I thought it was cute until they called back one time. And I was like, oh shit. And I ran in the backyard. I hid under this tarp, this motorcycle. Right? Yeah, those were the days, the prank calls. I used to call up the bakery and I'd be like, I'd like to order a large stromboli, please. And they're like, we don't make strombolis, it's the baker. I'm like, can I have a large sheet cake? I don't know what I was talking like that for. I mean, I had Italian relatives, so maybe I was trying to be like that. But I always wanted to order a large sheet cake. For some reason, I was obsessed with ordering sheet cakes when I made prank phone calls. Sheet cakes and stromboli. I don't know why. Those were my 2 obsessions with prank phone calls. And then, of course, I prank phone called the boys that I liked. There was one boy I really liked named Mike McEwen. And I used to prank call him until one day I prank called and his sister answered and she scared the hell out of me because she told me she would find out who I was and she would kick my ass. So I stopped prank calling boys after that. But yeah. It was fun though. I mean, it was harmless, really. Like you could actually prank people. I mean, you can prank people now. You can change your number on, it's just different. I mean, this is literally a full-on computer. It's just totally different. And everything happens so much faster. Happens so much faster. So, all right. I talked about a couple of things I want to talk about. I'm really appreciating everybody being here. I want to talk about natural law again, and I'm going to continue reading this book, The End of All Evil by Jeremy Locke. I'm not sure what happened to the person that wanted to come up. I did drop a link. I guess they decided not to, but that's really fine. All right, so let's hear this. The world is simpler than it pretends. Complexities are found in every aspect of our cultures, politics, and economies. Everyday people are introduced to new ideas, new spin, new views, or a new symptom of our world. Many of these ideas are perversions of principle designed to engineer specific reactions from people. Evil societies invent ideas to destroy the free thinking of people. Some of history's names for these ideas have been socialism, fascism, racism, communism, democracy, class warfare, political correctness, propriety, decency, royalty, and terrorism. All of these ideas are created for exactly the same purpose. They are vehicles to confuse the minds of the victims of slavery. They are all evil. You are capable of understanding everything in the world around you. Your intelligence is not limited. Distortions and complexities are introduced into your understanding so that evil men can control you. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep reading this, but I can't help but like, because it's not funny, but it is funny because like I was an asshole too, like that. And I'm going to be honest, like looking back at like some of the ways I was an asshole, it's honestly just because I felt like I wasn't getting enough attention, you know? And it's nobody's fault, you know? It's just the way things are sometimes. That's my life. It's my life. I'm okay with it. All right, so you are capable of understanding everything in the world around you. Your intelligence is not limited. Distortions and complexities are introduced into your understanding so that evil men can control you. Evil wants you to believe that you are incapable of understanding your own world. When you understand the magnitude of your own worth, evil will fail. There are two principles relevant to understanding the concept of intelligence. The first is simplicity. The principle of simplicity states that intelligence recognizes truth. When any truth is presented in pure form, all people are capable of understanding it. There's no truth that you can unlearn, that you cannot, there's no truth that you cannot learn. This is the principle of simplicity, that intelligence recognizes truth. And I think that's super simple and super powerful because people should understand that when something is too complex, when someone's talking about an idea that's too complex, or, you know, talking in like these like circles, it's because it's not true. Truth is pretty self-evident, simple, right? The second principle is the principle of obfuscation. Obfuscation is a distortion, a principle. Obfuscation is the creation of false ideas in order to hide truth. Sometimes this is simply adding ideas on top of truth to disguise the nature of the original truth. Even ideas that seem entirely appropriate can be used to bury simple truths. It's used by evil to confuse the minds of people. As children grow, they learn that seemingly complex ideas are actually basic and simple principles. What may have seemed impossible to understand at one point becomes wonderful once understood. It's good to gain wisdom. With wisdom, you can do anything. Your search for knowledge will become easier for you as you shed any notion of your own inferiority. Evil uses obfuscation to make people feel inferior. And that's 100% true. We all know that, don't we all know that? How many times have you felt inferior in your life because a situation that you were in or people you were around were obfuscating the truth or making things unclear and therefore making you feel inferior? And there's nothing worse than feeling less than a human being less than or inferior to another person. There's nothing worse than that feeling, right? We've all felt it at some point in our life or another. And so because you know there's nothing worse than that, and you also know that all humans must experience that, then it's important to recognize really our main job is to not make other people feel that way. If you can do that, like, you're a good person, that in my book. Like, it's really that simple. Just don't try to make other people feel bad about themselves and judge them and stuff, and harm them. The only time I think it's okay to harm someone is in self-defense for yourself or your family, your child or whatever. But outside of that, like, we're all struggling to understand what we're doing here, what's happening. In my opinion, it's a very uncertain time. And I think there's a lot more like in common that we have than apart, you know. So, all right, anyway, I just wanted to read a couple more things here before I signed off. All right. Protection. In order to engineer culture and pervert the free thinking of men, evil must create an enemy. It is not important to tyrants who the enemy is. Tyrants offer protection from these enemies in exchange for obedience. Take careful note that they offer protection, but obedience is mandatory. Whether or not you wish to have authority over you, you will obey, and they will revert to violence. The enemies are only created to ease the burden of obedience from the minds of people. Cultural enemies are an illusion. Benjamin Franklin taught that those who give up liberty to gain security will soon have neither. This is not an idle observation. The pattern of tyranny clearly shows that the entire purpose of presenting you with the need for security is to convince you to yield your liberty. That is everything authority wants. The demand for security is raised by those who seek power over you. This is how they create enemies. Make no mistake, it isn't the enemy the tyrants are after. They're after you. Me too. The illusion of cultural enemies is designed to restrict the thinking of people. It is designed to convince people that the real enemy is not the evil that rules over them, but some imaginary demon that would do them harm. This is the lie of tyranny. It requires your obedience in order to save you. Tyranny is disguised as culture and law. Social proof. As people begin to submit under the duress of violence to the will of a new authority, a principle known as social proof enters culture. Okay, hold on. This is interesting. The more people that obey the new authority, the more likely it is that others will follow. Well, we saw this in COVID, right? Like, this is what's so fascinating, honestly, to me about the time that we're living in, is all these concepts I learned about in psychology when I was an undergraduate, I'm seeing play out in the real world. Like all the studies they did with the MK Ultra and the Nazis did, and all the unethical shit they did to learn how to control people's minds. They've obviously used and enacted perfectly because we're all just acting perfectly to these triggers that they're giving all of us. And social proof, everybody, how quickly did people fall in line in COVID? And I always remind people of that. no matter what you thought of it, whether if you got vaxxed or whatever. Anybody who thought that people who didn't get vaccinated should die is people I don't. It's the same thing with like a Charlie Kirk thing where it's like, I'm happy he's dead or I don't care type thing. It's like, I'm not gonna say it's over for everybody. I just think it's kind of fucked up, you know? All right. Anyway, in order to engineer a culture and pervert the free thinking of men, evil must. Okay, we already did that. Hold on. Sorry. It's natural to want to escape the violence of authority. People who live under the oppression of nations or thugs will inevitably accept the author of obedience. A mugger will offer not to shoot if a wallet is surrendered. Rapists offer not to kill if virtue is surrendered. Mafias offer not to torture if payment is made. Governments offer not to obliterate life if laws are obeyed. It's the truth. And shit gets escalated very quickly, right? The offer is sweetened with the illusion of enemies. When a person faces certain pain or death on one hand, or protection from an enemy on the other hand, the will to remain free will eventually break down. Laws are decreed and written to legitimize obedience. Law impersonates principle. People are taught that what is law is right. They are not taught to do what is right, but to obey what is law. The legitimacy of law is the object of culture. Makes sense. Culture uses law to distort the minds of people into believing that they are incapable of seeking truth or living in peace. It teaches that law is legitimate instead of one's own mind. Law makes no sense in that and I understand this is all the things the great philosophers debated, right? But it doesn't really make sense though to make laws because like it's pretty basic what's right and everybody knows innately what's right and what's wrong, right? The most fundamental weapon of culture is the control of speech. While history has shown violent examples of this weapon, it exists in every culture as the code of propriety. The objective of the control of speech is making sure that those who were compelled to bend to the will of authority never gained the courage to look back. In order to maintain obedience, culture demands that everyone it enslaves enforce its will upon those around them. It teaches people to call their recalcitrant neighbors weird or insane. It demands that every person turn on those who fail to obey the precepts of culture. Culture condemns as immoral and antisocial all those who fail to obey its precepts. In this way, culture shapes people's minds by restricting their speech. Further, culture endows its evangelists with adjectives such as noble and upstanding. Those who most closely follow the rules of culture, especially in condemning enemies, are rewarded for inflicting stigma upon those less willing to obey. Does it sound familiar? I mean, we're in this culture war right now, right? Like we see it, right? Those who exhibit recalcitrance or suggest rebellion against authority are ostracized, berated, demonized, called Hitler, racist, all kinds of words, right? It's hard to endure the loneliness associated with fitting outside of popular culture. There are times when authority must revert to violence in order to maintain obedience. There will always be a small minority who refuse to obey the tenets of cultural law. Because of this, authorities employ a constant stream of violence known as law enforcement or police. These are not police in the defense of liberty, no, but police in the defense of authority. Cultures always teach that liberty and authority are one and the same. But the design of police is to wield the weapons of violence in the preservation of authority, not defending liberty. And that's the whole fucking problem with police, right? As a concept, not as an individual, but as a concept. The police are being paid by the government, which is being paid by us, but the police are actually protecting the authority of the government, not protecting our liberty. And that's the fucked up part. And that's the way it always ends up being. And that's why it doesn't work very well. So what's the solution? Hi, TGZ. What is this channel? This channel is Post Woke World. Hello. All right. So authority must also employ violence when cultures break down. Throughout history, people have slowly and steadily learned more and more about their own worth and hence demanded more and more freedom. Different cultures have fallen as people realize that culture is a lie. When cultures begin to break down, it's because people are learning about their value. Such cultures and the authorities they protect are doomed. Never once in history has a culture in decline been redeemed. Well, that sucks, guys. When authorities see that their culture is being dismantled and obedience is no longer theirs to enjoy, they return to violence. These returns to violence are historically extremely brutal. The violent enforcement of law is a sign of coming liberty, though. It is kind of scary, though, if you think about it. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Okay, example. Take a look at a generic historical example of the pattern of tyranny. A rogue thug gathers together a band of men to extort money from the people nearby where he lives. In his success, he plunders massive amounts of money and grows his gang into an army. He successfully kills the previous officers of law and enforcement or subverts them through stealth, knowing that he can plunder more value in the long term if he leaves his victims alive. He implements attacks upon everyone in his range of influence. He draws borders, he gives decrees. Importantly, he promises his victims that he will protect them from all other thugs. His victims slowly become accustomed to his will and his lies. The people become afraid if they hear their neighbors talk of escaping the taxes and cruelty. Soon they actively support the regime by targeting all treasonous speech and turning in deviants to the police. Originally called criminal, the thug is now called authority. He is called law and order. Yes, as a matter of fact, I spoke about that earlier, Wellington. I spoke about Nepal earlier because I know two Nepali women very well, young women very well. And I did talk about what's going on in Nepal. Absolutely. Christianity is the grandmother of Bolshevism. Interesting. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, this example could have easily described any gang of barbarians from the Middle Ages or from ancient history. It could apply to any king or emperor or years past. It could have described any warlord of today or any mafia. In fact, it closely resembles every authority that has ever been established, ever. Once people are conditioned to accept the notion of authority, they normally obey without thinking. The object of law is obedience, and the destruction of freedom is found in the blindness of disobedience. The authority principle shows that even when a person would normally believe an action to be wrong, if ordered by an authority, they will still perform it. And that's why Nazism happened. That's why COVID happened. That's why all this shit happened. Oh no, don't be sorry. I was just letting you know. It's all good. Wellington. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I'm aware of it, and I'm glad other people are too. Okay, here we go. It's easy to follow this pattern through history. Adolf Hitler created an enemy in the Jews. Early on, German culture was manipulated, and Jews were condemned as dirty and greedy, a people odd because they keep to their own kind. Soon the culture was in place where people were chastised for defending Jews. People who demonized them were championed. Speech was then controlled. And next, Adolf Hitler made Jews into the full-fledged enemy. The Jews became responsible for all social and economic ills. The solution was to put Adolf Hitler in power, to yield German liberties to him so that he could save them from the enemy. Make no mistake, Hitler was not after the Jews. He was after the Germans. An evil man, he was simply willing to sacrifice millions of Jews to obtain power. Do not make the mistake of thinking Hitler was a racist. Follow the pattern. In short order, he ruled the entire nation and forced all Germans to serve him and his army. His true ambition was not racism, but total world domination. And it is true if you think about it, like, in that regard, because it wasn't just Jews that he killed or other races. He killed other ethnicities as well as his own ethnicity, who they felt weren't up to speed. In other words, if they were disabled in some way or something. So it wasn't, in a sense, it was just about power and killing anyone that he felt was going to help get him that power. Socialism and communism create the enemy of greed in the same pattern by controlling speech. Profit becomes a dirty word, even though it only means that you have labored to create a better life. That's all profit is, right? Money becomes evil. Hold on for 1 minute. Hitler was gay. Oh no, it's happening again. You're falling asleep. I hope I'm not boring you over here. Hitler was gay, allegedly, and he went to war with the world. Norm Macdonald, Austrian. He was Austrian. Some people believe he's a Rothschild, you know. Some people believe he is a Rothschild. Let's see. These wealthy people change their name all the time. They always change their name. Socialism and communism create the enemy of greed in the same pattern by controlling speech. Profit becomes a dirty word, even though it only means that you've labored to create a better life. Money becomes evil, even though it simply represents your work, which is obviously moral. They create the enemy, but it is not greed they are after. It is you. If they can convince you that your money and your labors are the enemy, then you will yield those labors and your money to them. Authority is not designed to destroy the enemy. It is designed to enslave you. And that's kind of what I've been trying to talk about here. Yeah, I love Norm Macdonald too. Holy shit, he was a real one, wasn't he, guys? Democracies create the enemy of anarchy in the same pattern by controlling speech. It becomes immoral to suggest that one could break the law. It does not matter which law or what it says. Nobility is placed on the payment of taxes, no matter how much they demand of you. It is the highest form of cultural propriety to obey the law, regardless of what it says. The enemy is the fictional anarchy, wherein no individual is safe, because everyone is a tyrant. In order to save you from anarchy, you yield authority to the law you obey. Evil is not after the destruction of anarchy, it's after you. If you can see the tyranny in a culture that demands that you obey no matter what is asked of you, no matter who writes the law, then you are beginning to understand the nature of evil. Everything that is evil teaches you that you have limited worth. And I'm going to read that again because this is what's important, I think. The enemy is the quote fictional anarchy, right? How often do we hear, well, we have to have laws. We must have laws because if we don't have laws, then we're going to be in an anarchy, an anarchist society. And that's very bad, right? Apparently, anarchy, the fictional anarchy. That's what we're told if we don't have laws. Because if we're in this quote fictional anarchy, we're not safe, guys, right? We're led to believe it's a fucking free for all. Everybody's killing everybody else. No individual is safe because everyone's a tyrant. In order to save you from anarchy, then you have to obey the law. I mean, this is essentially what the law, the whole legal system is really a psychological operation on a whole other fucking level. It's like we must have law so that we don't have anarchy. But like, what is anarchy really? What does it look like with no law? Like, have we actually tried that? I think Charlie Kirk actually talked about something like that, but I don't know how true it was. I didn't go into the whole thing. Law holds value only to those who create it, and only because your culture demands that you obey it. The purest invitation to tyranny is your commitment to obey law, regardless of what it says. Against you, the law becomes the perfect weapon. Whomever controls the law controls you. Your worth is measured by the extent of your obedience. That's fucked, guys. All right, hold on. Let me see. This is so important too. Morality is liberty. Immorality is evil. The exercise and defense of freedom are moral. Anyway, this is that book I've been reading from, guys. It's a really short book. I highly recommend you get it, The End of All Evil. But I did want to say one other thing here. Shit, what was it? Oh. So what are you guys thinking? Your dad would always say that? I don't know what it was that I said, but I'm curious. Yeah, I'm starting to get tired, guys. I'm glad that I gave Thinkers Think a laugh about how old I am, because it really is crazy when I think about it. Like my generation, like, guys, our generation saw so much change so quickly. Like, for real. I didn't even have a car. Like, some people I knew, like, when I was in high school, I knew some people who had like a car phone or whatever. And that was like a big deal, you know? Or like if someone had a video camera so you could like video shit, that was a big deal. It's crazy. Oh, yeah. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Absolutely. And of course, yeah, no, I'm happy that people want to listen to it. I think it's super interesting and I think it's really important. And I think it's really just like basic, simple stuff that, when you hear it, it's like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that makes sense. You know? And yeah, without laws, it would be anarchy. So what I'm gonna do is yeah. I think was it you that said you ended up ordering it? Somebody said that they ended up ordering it. Yeah. It is a good book. I'm gonna look into the whole concept of anarchy because now that I'm talking about natural law and sort of talking about how law is just a mechanism of control and we don't really need it, I really need to look at. Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. I really need to look at objective evidence of what it's like when there was no law in a society, what that looks like and stuff. Because I don't think it's going to be what they make us think it's going to be. Like, I don't think the anarchy that they purport will happen without laws is some total fucking hellhole that they make it out to be. I think what we're in right now it's so layered upon layered upon layered that the truth is so hard to get to. It shouldn't be that hard to get to the truth. I mean, look at the Karen Reed trial. Look at Brian Koberger. I mean, the layer upon layer of deception and stuff. I don't know. This is why ultimately I like philosophy because that's really what it's all about. Just trying to understand what's going on. Anyway, guys, I am super tired and I'm babbling now. And I really appreciate anybody who joined me. Right, but it wasn't that complicated, right? That makes sense. Yeah. So thanks for everybody being here. Tax Max was here in the house earlier. I don't know if she's still here. Red Metal, thanks for being here. Wookiees. Wellington, one of my new members, appreciate you for being here. Astrograph, Sorcerer 420, thanks for coming by. TGZ, and of course, the lovely L. Everybody, thanks for joining me. I'll be back and I'll be putting out some members only content soon too, just behind the scenes stuff with the pups and probably some medical things that I want to get together because I have this whole, I guess, compendium, of medical advice that I think I can give to people that is generic. It's simple things that like people may not realize that they can do to like figure out certain things. And I think it'd be helpful because I'm of the belief that people can heal themselves. And for the most part, I'm not saying I'm not giving you full medical advice or anything. I'm just saying that I do want to start empowering people with some things that I think are really simple and easy that they might not realize. So that's it for tonight, guys. And appreciate everybody. And I'll check it out. Thank you. I love Norm Macdonald. Like he's one of those people that just makes you feel like everything's going to be okay. You know what I mean? And I know he passed, but it's like those kind of people are like my tribe, right? Your tribe. So, all right, guys. Have a good night, everybody. That's what's up.